I'm doing my first ever bookish related reading tag. Yay! Hey guys, it's Em and welcome back to my channel. This is Em's Reading Circle. I am your host, Em. Thank you guys so much for clicking on this video. I do want to let you guys know that I did have a miniature life update video that I posted prior to this one. So if you don't mind watching that video so you can kind of get a sense of what's going on in my life, because I don't want to have to repeat myself, but I wanted to go ahead and do some fun reading tags that I've seen circulating through the BookTube community. I have been loving watching these videos and I finally am in an opportunity to go ahead with my own responses because I now have my own YouTube channel. So before we get into the tag, I wanted to give you guys a reading update. I tried to finish The Other Misses on my Kindle. The content is very heavy, and one of the heavy topics in the book is a trigger warning for me. If you don't know what a trigger warning is, it is essentially a topic that is a trigger for somebody. So the one that is in the book is suicide, and I don't like reading graphic suicide scenes. So yeah, it's been kind of difficult to finish it. I'm not even halfway through. I'm debating if I'm even going to finish the book. I might DNF it or did not finish because I just don't quite like it. But I did go ahead and read start to finish one book. It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. It was my third Coho book. It's one of her well-known books. I read Verity and Layla first, and that's not her writing style at all, or like genre. Usually she does more books that are associated with It Ends With Us. My old sorority sister Shelby recommended it to me. It was chef's kiss, so good. I do want to put a trigger warning though, just in case any of you were interested in reading the book. The trigger warning is domestic violence, so I'm not going to go ahead and talk about that anymore just because it's a trigger warning. You either want to read it or you don't. That's totally fine. Books are whatever you want to read. But yeah, it was a fantastic story and I'm really happy that I finally had the opportunity to read it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the reading tag. I went ahead and put all the questions on my iPad so I could remember them. There are 11 questions for this one. This specific reading tag is a reading habits tag. So I'm going to tell you all the juicy details about my personal reading habits. So let's see if I have some similarities or differences with you. Okay, so question 1. Do you have a certain place at home for reading? Anywhere that is quiet. So I cannot read when there is sound going on, especially if there's a conversation or the TV's going on. There has to be quiet for me. So I prefer to read on a couch. So for example, this beautiful settee or like patio couch, whatever you want to call it. But I usually love reading on couches because they're super comfortable and I can just like sprawl out on them. But if I can't get to a couch, just anywhere quiet, no talking, no video games, no TV, no background noise, just quiet. Question 2, bookmark or a random piece of paper? So personally, I use both because Book of the Month does come with a bookmark every single month. I do go ahead and utilize that bookmark, but I don't have like any fancy, like beautiful bookmarks. I think I got one once and it cost a lot and I was like, I don't even use it. I'm never going to use it because it costs so much. Other than that, I do use random pieces of paper, and funny story, I did once use a Kleenex as a bookmark. I know it sounds so disgusting, but I promise it was not used. It was completely unused, and yeah, that's probably the weirdest object that I have ever used is a Kleenex. Okay, so question number 3. Can you just stop reading or do you have to stop after a chapter / certain amount of pages? So I used to be able to just stop on any page and pick up where I left off, but my 2 brain cells are barely holding on because we have to do so much reading in grad school. So now I have to finish a chapter. Otherwise, I completely forget what I read. It really sucks. I'll either have to go back, restart the chapter. You know, it's just a lot. So yeah, I have to finish a chapter now unless I'm like actively reading the book and I go ahead to like stop to take an eating break or use the bathroom, but it has to be like a same day type deal and no more than like 5 to 15-ish minutes if I'm going to stop in the middle of a chapter. Question 4, do you eat or drink while reading? No. So I get worried that if I eat something that's like snacky, finger foody, like chips or whatever, that I'm going to get grease or smudge or oil onto the book. So I don't eat unless it's something with a fork, and I have to be very invested in the story for me to eat while I'm reading. But I usually drink water whenever I'm reading. Sometimes if it's in the like cold months, so like fall, winter time, I will go ahead and have like a tea or hot chocolate or a coffee, but I have to be like in that vibe. You know, I usually have water because I like water. I like to make sure I'm drinking enough water throughout the day. So usually I'm drinking water, not eating anything unless there's a fork. Question number 5, multitasking, music or TV while reading? Neither. I cannot. If I hear somebody talking like in a TV show, or I hear somebody singing in music, I think about that. I listen to it. I have to know what is being said, and it completely distracts from my reading experience, which, yeah, if I want to read, I'm reading, so I can't have that going on in the background. I do, however, enjoy ASMR rooms, and if you don't know what they are, the ones that I particularly like are more like ambiance styled. I don't like reading with like true ASMR books where people will be like, you know, like I don't do that kind of thing. My ASMR ones that I prefer to do are usually like Halloween themed. So like Halloween music kind of, or like creaking stairs or raining, or just more like natural ones. So that's what I prefer to do if I'm gonna have a reading room ASMR ambience vibe style in the background. Question number 6, one book at a time or several at once? So I used to read exclusively one book at a time, and I would not move on to another book unless that first book has finished. However, since I'm in grad school, I have started to read multiple books at once, partially because in grad school we're reading constantly, so I have to be able to read like 5 to 6 articles in a couple of days before class, or I have to be able to read a book literally in 1 week before class. So my pea brain can't handle reading one book at a time because I've been like forcing myself to read multiple things for school. So I've been much more relaxed about that. I'm actually planning on gearing up and reading multiple books this upcoming like next few weeks, partially because of what's going on in my personal life. I just need to have options. I need to be able to escape when I need to, whether that's true escapism with a fantasy book, or if I want to be able to read a enemies to lovers book and I want to be like more realistic, I want to be able to dive into that. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. Question 7, reading at home or everywhere? So I was actually talking about this with my boyfriend. He said that I could read anywhere, and I disagree to a degree. So when I think of reading anywhere, I think of somebody like going to their local coffee shop to read, or going to the library to read, or going to a specific place to read, and I don't go out of my way to do that. I read at home exclusively. I always have. But if I go to a park with a friend and like my friend's like, hey, do you want to bring a book? Like, yeah, sure, of course, let's go. If I go to the lake or I go to the beach, I like to bring a book because that's the activity that I like to do. Growing up, whenever I would tan outside, I would go ahead and read a book. So that's kind of my reading anywhere, but it was always like a convenient / multitasking task for me. I never like went out of my way to go somewhere to read, but maybe whenever all the restrictions for COVID are lifted, then I will go ahead and start doing that. Haven't decided just yet because I've never done that before, but I thought it would be a great way to, you know, get out of the house and have fun. Question 8, reading out loud or in your head? I read in my head. The only time that I will not read it in my head and I will actually like say it out loud is if I'm very stressed reading for grad school. So I literally have to be at the point where I'm like, I've read this 5 times, I don't know what I'm reading, and that's when I'll go ahead and say it out loud. But anything else, like, I'm reading in my head. Like, I'm quietly reading in my head. But that's not to say that if I read a really good part and I want whoever's around me to hear it, I will go ahead and like interrupt them and be like, yo, this part in the book just happened. Oh my gosh, listen to this line. So funny. Okay, question number 9. Do you read ahead or even skip pages? The only time that I will read ahead or skim or skip pages is when I'm reading for school. And usually that's if I have fallen behind on my reading and I have to, you know, like quickly read some more information so then I finish the homework or whatever project I'm working on. That is the only time that I will truly go ahead and skim or skip pages. But I did go ahead and skip some pages last week because As I told you guys on my reading update, I'm reading The Other Misses on my Kindle, and there was a very detailed graphic scene talking about suicide, and I was like, you know what? This is not for me. So I went ahead and I skipped a couple of pages because I was like, I don't want to read this. I don't care to read this. I don't know why it's in here. It's just not doing it for me. So yeah, I'll only usually skip pages while I'm in grad school, not for my actual books, unless it is a trigger warning and I'm like, I can't. Like I'm gonna tap out of that one. Question number 10, breaking the spine or keeping it like new. So for me personally, I love to keep all of my spines new. I just love having a nice crisp looking book. However, if I do buy a book secondhand and the spine is cracked, or I'm borrowing from a friend or from the library, I have no issues if the spine is cracked. First off, because it's not my personal copy, it's somebody else's copy, unless I bought it secondhand. But I do like to see secondhand books with the spine cracked, because to me, that's a representation of a well-loved book, and not only it being a well-loved book, but also the way that I see it is like, I'm reading the story, but the story is telling me that so many other people have loved the book, and not only that, but it's also saying its own story. Like, we as the reader, if there are multiple people because of all the spines being cracked, then I view it as like the book has had multiple viewers, and so it's having its own story of multiple readers. So I do enjoy reading secondhand books. However, I do not personally crack the spine of the book. Yeah, I can't. Hearing that sound of it just going like snap, like it's a lot for me. Can't do it. Okay, and the last question number 11 is, do you write in your books? No, I do not. The only time that I do annotate in my books is if it's a book for school, and usually that's because I need to go back and like refer to something, whether it's quoting it or I'm using it for a discussion question, if I do have like a discussion question for a homework assignment. But other than that, I do not annotate. So I actually have started using the highlighting feature on my Kindle, but other than that, I don't go out of my way to highlight books, write in books. Kind of going back to keeping the spine like as is, keeping it new. I want, like, if I ever lend one of my copies of books, I want the reader to experience it fresh. I don't want them to see what I have to think about it and what I have to say about it. It's like my own interpretation of the book, and I want other people to have their own interpretation of the book. So that's kind of why I just don't say anything. I know some people do annotate their books and they highlight their favorite quotes, or if they want to utilize something for the future, like referencing it whenever they're discussing the book with a friend. But personally, I can't do it. I feel like it's taking away the magic in my eyes. Like, if I were to do it, I would be taking away the magic of the book. So I personally do not annotate unless it's for school, and even then I'm like, gosh, because for grad school I have had to read actual books, not just textbook books, like actual books, and even then I cringe. But I know that if I don't write it down, I will literally just like fail the assignment because I can't remember what I'm referencing back towards. All right, friends, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I was not tagged in this video. However, I did see another YouTuber who went ahead and did this video earlier this week. Her name is Alexandra Roselyn, and I will go ahead and tag her. She had said whenever she did the tag that she could not find the original creator for this tag. So I apologize. I'm not going to be able to go ahead and give credit where credit is due, because like her, I have no idea who the original creator was of this. I tried to go find it out, and then I realized that there were several different versions of this spanning back like 5 years, and I'm not going to go ahead and try to find them all. So I will go ahead and link down Alexandra's video so that you can go ahead and watch it. And other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!